This is Special Report.
Black holes are one of the strangest things in existence.
Neil Armstrong may have seen extraterrestrials on the moon.
When he spies a discernible shape.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You can deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer. Because too many others know what's happening out there. And no one, no government agency has jurisdiction over the truth.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Full Spectrum Universe. I was going to broadcast tonight two interviews that I thought were near and dear to my heart, but I decided to change the format a little bit. And really what I want to do on this particular episode is I want to connect with the audience. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of things we talk about that are in the paranormal. There is ufology. There is paranormal investigations. There's even somewhat of a conspiracy theory of history and things like that. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to connect with you, the crowd, you, the audience, and see some of the things that run through your mind when you hear the word paranormal, or if you have any experiences in ufology or anything like that. So we're actually going to broadcast live on this episode. And, you know, one of the things I really want to do is I want to form a connection with the audience tonight. One of the things that I have back here, which is my marquee board, and I'm actually going to dull it a little bit, because if I dull it, you might be able to see it better. And when we're going to get into that, we're going to talk about the marquee board and what that actually means. I'm trying to get myself centered here. There we go. I jumped on a little late, but I apologize, but we're here now. So with all that being said, what I want to do is, like I said, I want to connect with the audience tonight, and I want people to understand who I am, what I think, and how I think, so you can enjoy these shows a little bit more when you see my line of questioning and you hear people talk, and then I say to them, well, you know, what's this, what's that? And I ask one question on every episode that I do, and I'm actually going to answer that question tonight myself, and it might be a little long-winded. I just did a show, another 2-hour show at from 5 to 7, and it was with a lovely lady by the name of Penny Bradley, and Penny Bradley and I talked about instances that happened with the United Nations and ufology and these task force that were meant to be built for exploring what's out there. And it was under the revelation that came out in the news yesterday about this. We'll go into that a little bit too. I want to touch on a little bit of history, but what I want to do is I want you guys in the comments, if there's anything specific that you want me to talk about or you want to touch on, tell me. We will address it. We will make sure that you know, that everything gets where it needs to be. We'll do some advertising for RU Media. Again, as always, the first thing I want to say is I want to say thank you to Dave Oliver and Eric McGill for giving me this opportunity every Saturday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. It is prime time. As you can see, I got my hoodie on tonight. This is a straight comfy Saturday show. You know, we're just going to hit it from all angles tonight. We're going to fire on all cylinders. And I really want y'all to join me. One thing I do want to go over right off the bat is FCICon or MadCon, or actually both. We are accepting vendors as of right now. And what that means is that we are, well, they are, not me myself, but basically this is a place where all family comes together, and paranormal is essential to us. And we love it. We want to investigate. We want to see these places. These are two major places for Fairfield County Infirmary and Madison County Seminary. These are super great places to explore. When you come to these events, these are for vendors, but there is walkthrough tickets as well. so you can get an idea of what these places are like. And it's I can't wait to be there to do this because knowing a lot of the people and watching a lot of the shows on this network, I am would be honored to meet all these people and to engage in conversation with these people. One thing I am also going to do tonight after I'm going to put the link to jump in studio with me into the comment section. And if you want to come into studio, all you got to do is hit the link in the chat. It's going to be pinned to the top. It's right there. So a couple of announcements that I have to make. As usual, of course, there's needless plugging and self-promotion when it comes to these shows so we can further our reach and help people to understand who we are and what we do. Our website for Full Spectrum Universe will be coming out within the next month or two. What we're trying to do is we're going to have an archive of course, episodes of Full Spectrum Universe. Well, another thing that we're going to be doing with that, which is the part that I want to convey to the audience the most, is we're going to be adding a section where we're going to have written articles for all types of news. When I mean all types of news, I mean everything and anything, from headline news to paranormal news to technology news to technology and paranormal news. There's going to be so many different facets of the types of structure in the news that we give to people. We want to be a one-stop shop. We want you to be able to come to our website and essentially whatever topics you're looking or going through your brain on that day, you can come to the website and check out articles that are relating to that topic. So it's super important that we do this the right way. And that's why we're taking our time with unveiling it. And it's going to be something special. When I tell you that it's going to be something special, I truly mean that, because everything I do personally, I try and put 110% into everything, if not 120%, which is why even tonight I was going to rebroadcast some interviews that really gave me my my ability to speak on camera fluidly. And it was episode 3 that I've done here and episode 5. So it was still relatively early in my career on broadcasting, and they were super important to me. Also, in episode 3, one of the people that I have to owe this, these ideas that I have on these shows is a gentleman by the name of Clarence Mitchell. And Clarence Mitchell, to me, is one of the greats in my mind. And you may think that, you may not. It's up to you and how you feel. I owe him a debt of gratitude, and I like to project that to people because it's always good to be humble. You got to know where you came from. And one of the things that he did for me was he made me comfortable to be here to speak my mind. I haven't spoken to him in a few months. He has had issues with power and his internet, and it's a delicate situation, which I don't want to put his business out there. But he is a gentleman that I miss greatly. His guidance, his ability to help me see things from a different perspective are just tremendous. And if he is watching on any way, shape, or form tonight, I just wanted to let him know that I was thinking about him, and I hope he comes back to us soon. To me, he was an amazing man, and I hope to be in his presence to talk to him again sometime soon. So, with that being said, another thing that I want to emphasize is that we have a YouTube channel, and a YouTube channel is really close to 200 subscribers at the moment. I'm also going to be putting that into the stream. So if you see fit to grace us with the subscription and want to follow what we do, please, please, please subscribe. I'm trying to get those numbers up so we can spread our message around and even help other people who are just starting out come on the show and promote their platforms as well. I think it's essential for those people doing the work out there to have a place where they can put that work out for everybody to see. I think it is super important. And that's Dave Oliver and Eric McGill gave me this platform to do what I do and do what I love. I would love to be that for somebody else and pass it on and pass it along. I think it's tremendous. Another announcement that I have personally is that if some of you may know that I am a part of Enchanted Visions Paranormal with me and rescue medium Melinda. And one of the things that we were able to, it was actually an honor for us to, well, it's her achievement, but with that achievement comes with me being able to help her. And she has taken over a branch of Bat Paranormal, which is Bat Paranormal West Coast. I personally am on the East Coast, but being a part of her team, I'm here to facilitate and help her in any way, shape, or form. So I want to thank Bart Costi. Bart Costi has graced her with the leadership role in that aspect of the West Coast branch of Bat Paranormal, and I am so looking forward to working with a lot of the people on the West Coast to help residential problems, to tackle issues, to help be a support system for them as well, and also getting a little bit more involved with the Bat Paranormal with the headquarters as they are out of Pennsylvania. So I'm looking forward to working with them as well in a lot of capacities. So I apologize. I was talking for quite a while today, but I think it's super important that as as a community, we come together, and he has given Melinda this amazing achievement or this amazing status to help people. And I'm looking so forward to working with these people. I can't express the amount of gratitude I have that she is my partner and she has asked me to help her with these things. And she is truly an amazing woman too. And we've got a lot of big things on the horizon. We're going to be doing a lot of shows together. It's gonna be quite an adventure, and she has taught me a lot about paranormal. I have a lot to want to say thank you to her as well. And I know we're sitting here, and I'm just going off on diatribes of, but to me, it's important to give back to these people who gave so much to me. And Melinda is one of those people, and without her, I wouldn't be here as well. And I truly appreciate her, and it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. So, with that being said, one of the first things that I wanted to go over was today I was talking a lot about ufology, and ufology stems from, as everybody knows, history is my thing, but ufology stems from so far back that it's difficult to basically put your finger on exactly where the first contact was ever made. There are so many theories of things like Atlantis. There was a theory running around that ancient Egypt was the beginning of our contact with extraterrestrial. And I'll go into that a little bit deeper. Just from off the top of my head, I know I might jump around a little bit, but this is all off the dome. This is not rehearsed. This is not me reading from a piece of paper. This is everything that I have read down the line somewhere. So one of the things that we look at when we look at paranormal is Tutankhamun was the ancient pharaohs of Egypt. It was said that the ancient pharaohs of Egypt were either God sent or of God, their God or their pantheon, not as in Jesus, but as in their pantheon, right? So Tutankhamun's father, I keep forgetting his name, but his father was one of the first pharaohs to be portrayed in his statues as an actual human, shall we say. He was long, he was gaunt, he was pot-bellied, and down the lineage of ancient Egyptian pharaohs, they weren't actually symbolized like that. They were symbolized to be larger than life or completely chiseled or cut. And it goes in retrospect, but he was actually believed in the UFO community to be he was a hybrid from what they're talking about. The reason why they think that is because he has many cave paintings or where they transcribe things on the walls of the tombs. There was stories of him flying in fiery chariots across the skies. he had the ability to heal people. He had an innate ability to just foresee things coming and be ready for them. So that's why when these ancient Egyptian pharaohs were put into place, they say, there's a lot of stuff about the pyramids too, but that's why they say that they had these grandiose tombs to these larger than life people who were of God descent, So it's truly incredible to look at that. And as we go through history, last time we talked about paranormal history and the different things that paranormal, like the afterlife and how they perceived it. But the UFO side of that is quite incredible because when they have these gods or these pantheon of gods, it's when you look at them as a whole, if anybody was an extraterrestrial, it was these people. They were 9, 10 feet tall, which coincides with the tall whites or the Nordics, as they say in ufology. So there's different levels of ufology too, which we'll also get into, but stemming to some of the deeper parts of ufology. So, there's so many things that we look at and we take them at a value that we're like, wow, well, it doesn't seem to be so human in nature, which makes it extraterrestrial. And to define that is extraterrestrial is anything and everything that is not of this planet. We've gone through this before, and anything can be extraterrestrial. If we sit there and we look at what angels were perceived in the Bible, they are extraterrestrial. They're not of this planet. They're not created here. But as we get into more modern times, anytime somebody says extraterrestrial, there's this stigma that it is a small gray man with almond-shaped eyes, and he's about 4 foot tall and he rides around in a UFO. When we know from past experiences that there are so many different types of extraterrestrials, people can even, perceive Bigfoot or a cryptid as an extraterrestrial. They are maybe that they are something of this planet, maybe they're not. Nobody really knows. So there's a lot of misconception with what is extraterrestrial or what is not. And it's not for anybody to say what anybody else's perception of it is, because as we know, reality is and truth is our perception of that. So, to stay on a conscious level of growth and keep open minds about everything, it's truly incredible when we look at these things. And some of the things that we were talking about today with my good friend Penny Bradley was different times that they, there's this group that delves into what's called the secret space program. And she is it was an undertaking for her while she was a part of this secret space program. I'm not here to say whether it's real or not. I'm not here to contradict what she says. She sees these as her reality. So on the basis of understanding her, what I did was I took it from an objective point. I mean, when she says it to me, she says it with conviction. So truly, I believe it. This is something that she went through. But when you look at ufology and secret space program, there's a lot of misconception that they coincide with each other because they don't. There's a lot of differences between these things. And, when they've been trying during modern history to set up these task force, Pete, like they have now, which was just came out last year, about exploring unidentified flying objects, which are, cruising through the skies. Now, there are stats on this too that we can go into, which is they say that 60% of those unidentified flying objects are terrestrial in nature. They say 30 are of unknown origin and 10% are of extraterrestrial origin. So when we break that down, it's a little wild. But a question out of that is, if it is terrestrial, where did it come from? Where, who has this technology? Is it some government? Is it some secret faction of man that we don't know about? And, one of the things we're looking at tonight too is we're not going to so much answer any questions, right? We're gonna we're gonna look into these things. We're gonna talk about them, but there's no real right or wrong answer. So when you make your own theory of these specific topics, don't let anybody tell you you're wrong. If this is what you believe, don't let people tell you you're wrong because they don't know what's right or wrong. So they can't say whether you're right or whether you're wrong. It's up to you to decide what your perception of that is. Excuse me. But there's another facet of that too. And I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And, the other facet of that is there are people who make these assumptions and don't do any research to back up what they're claiming. And they hear other stories and take pieces of it, which is a fraud. And we see a lot of fraudulent experiencers or people of all genre of supernatural. What they do is they take a piece from this story, they take a piece from that story. That's why, and most of the time, 90% of the time, it's easy to see who these people are. But there's always that little percent that you're weary about. And I'm going to tell you, if you're weary about it, go with your gut feeling, but do your own research on it. See if their story coincides with others. We're not really going to harp on the frauds. I just had to bring that up while we're talking about it. And, I want people to understand that when I do these types of episodes, and we're going to do more of this, just these one-on-one episodes where I just rant and I just go off on tangents. And the one thing I want is for the audience to literally chop it up in the comments, bring up topics and talk about things. And, we'll address them here and my point of view on it. And, we're going to jump all around. It's going to not be any straight line of thinking. We're going to talk about a lot of things. It's going to be a lot of fun because, I think sometimes when you're looking at these theories, yes, you have to be well read on a few of the aspects of these theories, but sometimes there are these notions that you have or these epiphanies that you have while just discussing it amongst a group, which brings this other side out that it's plausibly an answer to what you're thinking about, and hopefully you can digest other people's thoughts on it, but never really truly rule that out. So I'm going to give it a minute and let a couple people pile in. We're just going to talk about a few things. Then we'll get to like the hard hitting stuff. I know we're almost a half hour in. I apologize that we're jumping all over the place, but I feel like a lot of these things need to be addressed. I feel like we need to jump around a little bit more. I think we need to talk a little bit more about theory. And the reason being, like I said, is because facts are fun, right? History is fun. But what we ultimately want to do with these shows is make you think outside of the box, make you think outside of the square, come up with these different notions, right? With these different thoughts, then follow those thoughts into objective research. And when you do that, it'll lead you to so many different avenues that you're exploring so much and your mind is thinking about so many things. And it's so important. I think it's truly, and it's going to be an incredible thing, once you start doing that for yourself. But, it's my thoughts. Again, I'm not right. I'm not wrong. Just my thoughts, Another thing I want to put out there is I am going to be a part of an event. We're doing flyers for it now, which is on December 21st. It's going to be called Time is Up, Level Up. And what that is, it's going to be a spiritual journey filled with it's me and my friend Omar and my friend Leo, which is Watchers Talk Radio and Orion Rising, along with Full Spectrum Universe. We're going to be talking about, it might be an all-day event. I believe it's going to start at 10 a.m. I'm not sure if that's 10 a.m. Pacific time or if that's going to be Eastern time yet. I have to get all of the different things. We're going to start the day with a meditation. And what we're trying to do is, there have been a lot of ancient prophecies that say there comes a time when all of mankind is going to have to level up spiritually, or they're going to be left behind. There's also this great awakening that coincides with this thought and this thought process. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help man get to that next step, that next level of spiritual evolution. So we're putting together this conference type of day, this day course, shall you say, filled with meditation music, with meditations themselves, with practice discussions on ways to raise your frequency. And I'm not sure if, it's going to be really great. We're getting didgeridoos, we're getting drums. We have great people, which we'll go into. I can actually tell you a few of the people now. These are not all confirmed, but it's definitely going to be a great thing. And first, we're going to go over what the name of the whole thing is. We've already got some art on it. I'm going to see if I can pull it up real quick so everybody can see it. It's going to be truly incredible. So this is what the schedule looks like so far, but it's going to be from sunrise to sunset. So basically what we're going to start the day off with is at 7:45, which we're going to what we're going to do is we're going to I'm going to give you these times broken down in Eastern Standard all the way through Pacific Standard Time. We're going to start with a ambient consciousness music for, let's say, about 15 minutes. Then we're going to introduce the hosts of it all. It's going to be myself. It's going to be Leonard. And it's going to be Omar, right? So after about an hour of conversation, we're going to be introducing a gentleman by the name of Aaron Fowler. And he's going to be doing a 30-minute meditation, which then after that 30 minutes, we're going to have a conversation with Aaron. We're going to ask him questions. We also have Eric Strong, and they're going to be at this conference called Arulu, which is where the ancient Aborigine people who believed to be first on this planet, where they have this prophecy that if people, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but to describe it to you, they're holding an event parallel to ours. And what it does is this prophecy talks about this level up. And if you don't level up in time, you're going to get left behind, which means you're going to be on this earthly plane and not on the higher plane of existence. And, it's like you're going to manifest a new reality. It's in harmony with each other and peace and love. And it sounds like a hippie thing, but if you think about it, with how wild everything else out in the world today, I would welcome this new age of enlightenment. I think it's a big deal to try and put these events together to help people. I think helping people is ultimately what we're all here to do. So after that, we're going to have Omar lead us on a short stretch of conversation, maybe another quick meditation. I myself am going to announce and introduce Neil Gower. He's going to be doing some sound bowls, which is going to be truly awesome. Then after that, we're going to have a conversation with Neil Gower. And then I'm going to have my good friend Leo. He's going to introduce Norma. Norma is going to be it's going to be like another conversation. After that, we're going to play a video from the Strongs, which is what I was telling you about Uluru. Then after that, we're going to have Nora lead us in another meditation. Then we're going to discuss stuff with Norma, not Nora. Nora is an amazing lady once you get to do all that. So basically, we're going to talk about the Schumann resonance too. And we may also have a possibility of Dr. Rita Louise coming, one of my personal favorites. And if you go to Full Spectrum Universe on YouTube, you can see, if you go to the playlist to look at Full Spectrum Universe on one of my other networks, I did a 2-hour conversation with Dr. Rita. Dr. Rita is incredible when it comes to enlightening consciousness and when it comes to relationships. She is truly number one. So we also may have a gentleman by the name of Alan, and we'll get to more specifics about this later on. Truly, this is it's going to be an amazing event, and one of the reasons why my marquee behind me, like I said, we're gonna just jump topic to topic. So just bear with me, stay with me, and let's do this. And I'm gonna have to keep drinking my coffee. It is coffee. I hope you have yours. It's a nice relaxed conversation on a Saturday night. What better to do? A lot of places are getting locked down. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully, we can get over this whole thing soon. There's a lot of good stuff coming out with treatments and vaccinations. I personally, I'm not going to be taking any of that stuff, but if it helps you feel comfortable about it, I hope you get what you need so everybody can live peacefully and do what they need to do. But yeah, so never back down or never look back. Never back down, never look back. One of the things that we're trying to help with on this spiritual journey is when when everybody through their life at any given time goes through struggles, right? And hardships, and life is not just a linear plane, right? Life is a bunch of hills, valleys, mountains, below sea level valleys. I mean, things can really go up and down. And that goes for even myself. And it's okay to look back, but make sure when you look back, you focus on things that are positive or helping you to grow to be a better self in your future. I truly believe that, but sometimes there are lessons to be learned on hardships too. So this has to be taken at a discretionary level, right? And the reason why I say this is because there are ups and downs. Sometimes those downs that you seem like, they have so many sayings for this. It's darkest before the sun comes out. You know, Sometimes sitting in the eye of the storm is a great place, but you're going to go up and down again. There's, watch the company you keep. A lot of those old wives' tale stories attribute to a lot of the hardships in all of our lives. And you really have to look beyond or outside of the norms and what's happening, because when you can evaluate what's happening to yourself or to anybody else from an extended view, if you take that step back and understand why you need to, experience that at that time, you can prosper from those experiences, good or bad. So, and of course, that never look back doesn't apply to when you're looking at history that doesn't pertain to you. But, there's a lot of, they say that everything on this planet vibrates at a frequency. There is also this thing called the Schumann resonance. If you're not familiar with that is, that's Mother Gaia, the planet, right? It vibrates. So what has to happen is, if you want to be more in tune with your surroundings or the place where you were given life, you have to, it's 7.83 gigahertz is what the actual frequency is. I took sound basically audio engineering in college. So I'm familiar with hertz. A lot of these vibrations that you feel, you can't hear them. You can feel them at certain moments, but the Schumann resonance, you can't feel it. It's too high pitched, but it's there. Your body vibrates. Even this cup that's a stationary object vibrates. This vibrates, right? At a frequency is and the frequency has to do with how dense it is, which is why you can hear the cup has density. But there's also theories that say that the only reason why that cup is hard is because I visualize it to be hard or to have substance, right? So there's different schools of thought to look at. But one thing I try and do every day is I try to meditate and I try to align my vibration with the Schumann resonance. And the reason why that is once you master being able to do that, you're working on your frequency manipulation, right? When you can manipulate your frequency to that point, you're actually bringing it up, right? So when you surpass that, you get to meet, or you get to mingle or talk to your higher self, which then turns into astral projection, which then turns into telepathic thought, which then turns into healing with the hands. There's so many benefits, but there is negatives too. You know, you have to watch. Anything you do has this duality. So just like the sign says, never look, never look back. There's a duality to that. There's good, there's bad. Just like when you're talking about, raising your frequencies. But one thing, going back to my reasoning for saying this is, one of the things we're going to be doing with this convention is we're going to be monitoring the Schumann resonance from December 3rd all the way to December 21st. And after December 21st, we're going to watch it, because when you do events like this and there is a combined meditation and you're basically meditating with that frequency in mind, that frequency should jump. And when that frequency jumps, you actually help heal the earth. So it may sound very fantastical. It may sound wild, but I have seen evidence of this. I've been tracking the Schumann resonance for as long as I can remember. And it was actually Rescue Medium Melinda who got me into basically aligning myself with the earth to open my eyes to things that wouldn't normally be seen, right? So while doing that, we're going to monitor this, which is going to give us actually data, actual set point data, where we can say, look, we made a difference. So it's pretty wild to think about that. But, hopefully when you're doing your thing, you make a difference. And I know, like I said, I'm jumping. It's okay. It's okay. Just bear with us, hang out, stay along. It's a fun ride. We're having a good time. Keep it going. So when you work on helping people, you're raising your frequency because you're giving to others you're not taking in. When that happens, you raise your frequency. When you raise your frequency, you can then in turn use that meditation to help raise the frequency of the earth, which in turn helps all of humanity in a harmonious way and makes everything better. When we can access these specific levels of meditation, not only does it help you to relax, it helps you to have a little bit of foresight, which in turn makes your anxiety from the not knowing of what's next lower. And there's a lot of things that help you while manipulating your frequency. And I'm a firm believer in everybody should have some formal training. And here's another thing too, is when you can manipulate your frequency like a psychic does, you can view the veil, or you can view past the veil into the spiritual realm, right? Or the in-between, or the up, the down, whatever you believe. What you can do, or what you're doing, is you're becoming that medium. And if you're on an investigation in the paranormal, it'll actually give you insight to communicate with these entities, these spirits. So there's so many things that you can benefit from by manipulating that frequency. It's a big deal. And this is going to sound even crazier, but if you can manipulate your frequency and your thinking while you're doing research, sometimes you're able to read between the lines a little bit more, and things may pop out to you that you wouldn't have normally seen before, right? So, in essence, you're going to be looking at a page that you're reading about ancient Rome, and you're not understanding some things, you're understanding other things. By centering yourself, calming down your heart, by focusing your mind, things that weren't apparent to you before will come out to you. And it actually helps in research. It's a tremendous thing. I try and practice that as well because, I'm a self-proclaimed historian. So I have to be able to see things, maybe not differently, but all perspectives to these instances, because there's a lot of sayings that go with that too, that history is written by the victor and, things like that. But you have to be able to open your mind and look at both sides, or four sides, or five sides, all perspectives of these instances in history, to get a total and full understanding, so you can call yourself an expert by seeing these things. There's a lot of different ways to manipulate your frequency. So that's basically what the event's going to be about. My friend Omar, who has been a good friend of mine for the last 5 years, along with, like I was talking about, Clarence and Leo. And I actually haven't done a show or an event with them in a long time. And they were the guys that I kind of started with when I was guest starring on their shows. So it's going to be like going back to basics for me. And I am so excited. When I mean excited, I cannot explain how excited I really am to do this. It's going to be truly an awesome thing. I mean, I'm super, super excited. So, another thing that I personally am working on at the moment is rescue medium. Melinda is a rescue medium. She's a psychic and a medium, and I'm trying to have her teach me how to be able to do what she does in so many levels, which takes a lot of frequency manipulation too for myself. For her, it comes naturally, but for myself, I have to delve into some things or hit some uncomfortable truths that I might not be fully aware to come to grips with, just because without that clear and open mind, it would be difficult for me to do that. I'm not seeing a lot of comments tonight. I want to say hi to Ramona. I get it. It's a Saturday night. People are doing what they do. I know a lot of places and a lot of people were set for investigations tonight, and I hope that they have some great luck. I hope they have success in what they do. I wish that for everybody. I hope everybody finds what they're good at and does that to their fullest extent, and I hope that they're happy with that. So, going back to ancient Egypt, right? A lot of these there's a lot of ancient astronaut theories that come from the Egyptian world, right? Like the pyramids were a landing pad, the pyramids were a generator. There's so many that it's hard to keep track of all of them. It really is. And a lot of it is extraterrestrial by nature. So when we're actually looking at these things, it's hard to decipher which ones make more sense than the others. So, and the fact of the matter is, we really don't know the truth. So to put a finger and say, well, that one's better than the other one, I call BS on that. I call BS because you may not know, and none of us really know. But personally, and I'm going to say personally because everything I do is I keep it on the eye. Hi, Laura. How are you? I'm going to keep this on the eye. We're going to go back to ancient Atlantis, right? So my belief is, and this may sound fantastical or outlandish, but it's my belief. You know what? If you don't like it, research it, figure out your own. That's all I can say. But, I actually want to hear what everybody's belief on these things are, because I'm interested in what other people see differently. I really love that stuff. But so let's go back to ancient Atlantis. For those of you who don't know what Atlantis is a civilization that is classified as either human in nature from our previous past that was technologically advanced, or it was extraterrestrial in nature. And either way you look at it, they were more technologically advanced than us. So, with that being said, personally, if they were more advanced than we are now, let's take into consideration what we can do now. We can go to the moon. We're on our way to Mars. We could get into the atmosphere. So I think personally, and when they say advanced, they mean like a lot. A lot. I'm good, Laura. I hope you're great too. I hope everybody's great out there. When they say advanced, they mean like really advanced, like super advanced compared to what we are. So, with that being said, my theory on that is Atlantis had a counterpart. That counterpart was the Lumerians. Some people say they were from different eras, and maybe they were, but I believe that there were some Atlanteans, and I've had dreams about this. I've meditated on this, and I've tried to reach the Akashic record. And hold on one second, Ramona. I will get to that. Okay. So, I try to focus on the Akashic record, which is like a hall of records. That's an infinite consciousness that we all can access if we do the right kind of meditation. But what personally is just, like I said, Atlantis has a counterpart. The counterpart is the Lumerians. The Lumerians are not on Atlantis. They were either a faction in Atlantis that was kicked out, or they were not seen as, it was seen as like less than, like a slave race or subservient to the Atlanteans. So the Atlanteans kicked them out. They actually formed a colony on land, right? So Atlantis is in the middle of the ocean. The Lumerians are on land. Atlantis was a big, big city. And I'm going to explain why this is. To just follow, because it's going to get a little bit, who knows, but follow. So the way you power a city, like Atlantis, right, is either some kind of extraterrestrial fuel source, or they had big, big cables that went into the actual surface of Earth to the core, where they were using geoelectric or geomagnetic or geo whatever it may be. They were using the Earth for their power source, right? So when that happens and they decide, well, things are getting a little bit crazy, and they're siphoning enough power off of Earth and its magma core, what they want to leave. They have, for some reason, they see something coming. There's something going on. They don't want to be here anymore. That is up for opinion. They say we're going to leave, right? They want to get out of here, which is either why Atlantis fell, or I'm going to give you my theory on it, where they say that it fell into the ocean, but for some reason we find no record of it anywhere. We've scoured a lot of the ocean floor, and there's not even, there's literally no trace. So they send an emissary of Atlantis to the Lumerians and say, here's your chance. We're going to get out of here. You can either come back with us, or you can stay here. Knowing that these two sides probably were feudalistic in nature, there's always, like I said, a duality. So while the Atlanteans were one thing, like as in good, the Lumerians to them were evil. So they said, okay. And they realized that they were a higher consciousness than we were. They realized that duality has to exist everywhere. So what they did was they said, okay, you can come with us. You don't have to come with us. You want to come? You don't want to come? Who? Talk back and forth. Finally, they decided that it's time to go. Lumerians decided to stay. They said, no, we're going to make our home here, where we have been for the last however many hundreds of years. And the Atlanteans pull that cord that was at the end into the Earth's surface, even if it was 1, 2, 5, whatever it may be. They pulled them back because Atlantis was a spaceship. It was a mothership that was big enough to represent a continent. And what happens is when they take their cords that were into the Earth's surface and siphoning all of the Earth's power, they left, right? So now they leave. The Lumerians are still on land. Now, all of a sudden, a great ice age comes because Atlantis was manipulating or siphoning so much energy off of the planet itself that when that energy got stored up again and had nowhere to go because it wasn't being siphoned anymore, it changed. The poles started to shift. And some of the ice caps melted, other ones grew. Things were freezing, things were unfreezing. It brought on a great ice age because the geothermal energy or geothermal electromagnetic fields were shifting. They were changing, right? And when it was changing, that's what brought on this ice age. So what did the Lumerians do? The Lumerians went into caves. They had to. It was their only resort. What's going on, George? I hope you're enjoying this too, man. So now, after living in caves for so long and basically coming out just to eat or whatever, they I don't want to say they regressed, but they didn't have the technological advances that Atlantis had, or Atlantis decided, okay, I'm taking all those advancements back with us. You can't have them without us. first, or they had no power source to sustain them for so long, right? So now the Lumerians go back to the Stone Age, right? The Stone Age is rocks, tools, which they're finding more Neanderthal had. And maybe these weren't Neanderthal in the sense of being stupider. They used what they had because they were that intelligent. They just had a different construction to their skeletal like bodies because they weren't of this planet, right? But then, of course, we evolve. Man comes through. Some survive. They go after the woolly mammoth. And then all of a sudden, ancient Sumeria comes, right? Ancient Sumeria, they say the Neanderthals died out. They're essentially bred into what new man looks like. And new man gives them a little bit of what old man or Atlanteans and Lumerians had for their culture, had for farming and things like that. So personally, I believe that a lot of the extraterrestrial essence of ancient astronaut theory comes from those left over from Atlantis. And their bloodlines just made their way all the way to Egypt, right? So that's my theory. Doing a lot of the research, and a lot of that is indicative of time being different than what scientists tell us it is. And there's proof of that. And I'll tell you proof. They have these footprints, an ancient Sumerian footprints, right? That literally have a man's handprint and a dinosaur footprint right next to it. In some of the Sumerian paintings or carvings, in totems and statues and things like that, there was men riding on a brontosaurus. So they're telling you that your objective timeline is wrong. By definition, it's wrong, right? So with that being said, there's a little bit of ancient astronaut theory for that. Ramona says, I've been dream walking. Maybe. Ramona, you had a great question before. It says, why isn't there any validation that Atlanteans actually existed outside of the assumption of our imagination? I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. Like I said, the Atlanteans were smart. They were advanced. With that advancement, they did not want to leave the Lumerians any of their technology. And the reason why we can't, what they did is they went around before they left, collected everything that was of their technological origin, took it with them, and then, like I said, they took off. There's nothing left. The only thing that might be an indication of them being here with the big cables is the Marianas Trench. The Marianas Trench, we can't go down because it's so far into the earth that the pressure will literally crush your skull. And, nobody's sure if Atlantis was in the Pacific or the Atlantic. Hence Atlantis, I would think the Atlantic Ocean. But, I mean, that's a pretty sound theory. Is it right? Who the hell knows, man? I don't know. Anybody could tell me I'm wrong. I'll be like, okay, what's your thoughts? That's cool. And I'll listen because I love to hear it. And maybe a piece of your story will fit into mine, and I can use that for a better theory, But with that being said, who's to say it's right or wrong? Nobody. But this is my theory, and I believe that I'm almost 100% right on the money. You could tell me no. You could tell me yes. That's up to you to decide whether you like it, you don't like it, whatever you feel, whatever you don't feel. It's up to you. But this is what we do on a nice, comfy Saturday night. Like here, you get your coffee. I keep hearing things. I don't know if it's the chords. Oh, it's my girlfriend coming through the door. That's why I'm like sitting here like, what am I hearing? That would explain the Bermuda Triangle. Well, Ramona, is a difference. Bermuda Triangle, honestly, and I'm going to go into another theory of the Bermuda Triangle, right? So let's just keep this going. There's a lot of different things when you look at the Bermuda Triangle, right? There is the manipulation of basically instruments, or I never knew this was new to me. Well, hopefully we're all learning things, It's just I love learning off people and that's why I like people to get involved and tell me their side of it. But back to the Bermuda Triangle. So we know that there's a manipulation of instruments. And what this is there's electromagnetic fields that coincide together, which cause your compass to spin like this. Now you don't know where you are. You lose track of time, or where basically direction. You're disoriented by this conglomeration of these two or more electromagnetic fields. But here's the thing: Bermuda Triangle. If there's these things called ley lines, right? Ley lines are these strips on the Earth. They go across the whole Earth. These ley lines are places where the Earth's energy is greater, and it runs like a checkerboard all over the place. They some of them are curvy, some are straight. This is where supernatural things tend to happen more, because I don't know if it's the electromagnetic fields are manipulated or there's a lot of things manipulated, right? So, and I'm going to go off on a tangent now, so just follow. We're going to do this again, right? They say that, and I'm going to bring it all back together. Time travel, right? Time travel. When you travel through time, they say that you're not going back and forth on the same timeline. Otherwise, you would have a substantial effect on that timeline, change everything in the future. You actually jump universes when you do that. What that means is that when you go forward in time to go to the future, you're going like this. Over one, up. Over one, back. You'll never, if you time travel, you will never end up in the same reality that you left from. There's been a lot of studies on this. A lot of different things say, like, this is definitely what it is, right? Personally, this is what I think. So it's not right, it's not wrong, it is what it is. But so when this happens, when it happens, like I said, you jump to a different universe. So the outcome of you traveling there will never change what the original universe you came from, because you're not really going back and forth on that timeline. It's a totally separate timeline. Bermuda Triangle, because so many of these electromagnetic fields coincide with each other, that when your compass spins like that and the instruments go haywire, it's almost like a portal. It's like when they did experiments to try and figure out time travel, they literally manipulated electromagnetic fields, which gave them the ability to peek into different universes. So the reason why you never find anything there when people crash or boats go in there, this doesn't happen every time, right? It's not every time. This is a coincidental thing. At the right times, the energy spikes with that goes back to Schumann resonance. Energy spikes in the Earth, electromagnetic spikes one way or another. They just disappear because they've jumped timelines. So now, and the thing is that when you jump that timeline, who's to say that the person that came before you that jumped timelines ended up on the same timeline as you? So there's a lot that goes with that. The Bermuda Triangle is just like a vortex. And if you notice, there's actually there's three triangles on the Earth that coincide with that, because the Bermuda Triangle is a triangle. So think about that. The electromagnetic field on the triangle the electromagnetic circumference is a triangle, right? So now there's three spots on Earth that form another triangle. So it's got to do a lot with geometry and these ley lines. And these ley lines are super powerful, and they're indicative of the way things work on this Earth, which is another reason why this seminar that we're about to do is so important. Because, like I said, when you raise your frequency, all these things become they become open to you. You're able to see these things now, or at least evaluate them in a different way. You're looking at them through the eyes of something different. It helps. It helps. So I know I'm getting hoarse. I apologize. I did a lot of talking today, so you just got to bear with it a little bit. But So now the thing about UFOs again, right? There's another theory since we went into time travel that dictates time travel is what UFOs are, right? They say that some UFOs, I'll give you an instance, right? I'm going to go through an instance and then we're going to correlate that with what we're talking about. There was a gentleman in I think it was 1921. He was on a farm in Oklahoma. He walked out of his front door. When he walked out of his front door, he proceeded to look left. When he looked left, he saw a UFO. Inside of this UFO, he saw a man, a human man, not a humanoid, an actual human man in a silver outfit. And what he did was he waved at this man. The man waved back and then sat behind the console and started messing with it, fixing it, doing whatever. He sat there for about 15 minutes watching the man. So the thing takes so he looks away, turns back, was gone in a flash. Just poof, out of nowhere, gone. So about 25 years later, he's talking to people who are investigating this. Right before World War II, they were investigating these things. There was Project Blue Book was after World War II, but this was like the predecessor to that. It wasn't so much government issued, but it was at the same time. It was after the Roswell crash, but before Project Blue Book. So they're investigating, and he tells people this story. And he says, you know what? If I had to say something, considering that this was a man, he looked like he was from the future. Now think about that for a second. Let's just take a moment and think about that. What if all these UFOs that we're seeing are people from a different dimension or parallel reality that either have come back from the future or were from the Atlantean past? If Atlantis was so ahead of its time, wouldn't they have time travel too? Which is maybe one of the reasons why they got off this planet to begin with, because they saw how bad it was going to be when, look at the last 100 years filled with war, famine, prejudice, all types of stuff. So before they were any part of that, they decided to cut the lineage off completely. But man always finds a way. Man always finds a way to survive, just the way it is. We're survivors. They probably thought once that ice age hit, the Lumerians would be killed and it would be over. They wouldn't have to worry about us. But that's not it, So now, if we look at UFOs, a lot of them are cylindrical in shape, which is basically aerodynamic, which is something that we know now. Could be anything. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. What Usu Ramona has said, as the veil is shifting, we are able to see them in their dimension. We'll get into that, Ramona. I'm going to go into that a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what that is, okay? Because it's all going to be around time travel, too. We're going to stick with time travel for now because I decided we're going to stick with it. So, not to be crazy, but so here we go, right? Time travel, it happens. Everything's great. These entities or humans come back. Now, when they come back, they're not manipulating their own future because they're on a different timeline now. So with that different timeline, it's going to manipulate our future, right? So, and here's the other thing too. If we look at evolution, and I know we're going off again, but just hear me out. So I'm going to bring it back to make sense. With evolution, they have done studies that say if we were a space-faring life form, or if we were many generations in space, our arms would elongate. We would grow shorter in size to fit through the openings of these doors in a space station or a spaceship. Without the reflection of the sun, our eyes would turn black and probably almond shaped. We would lose our hair because our hair and teeth are indicative of vitamin D that's given from the sun. Right? So these grays that people talk about could be from our far flung future, or they're a race of our people that have gone so far out into space. By the time that they came back, their ancestors looked nothing like us. So, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. And they got back here from the future. They look like that from the future because of time travel. So there's a lot of things that we can coincide with each other. So I forgot where I was going, but the shift. So why we can see stuff, right? So you're gonna love this. How you doing, Jason? It's good to see you, man. I'm glad everybody came and we started getting some comments and a little bit of life. I like it. So let's think about this, right? There's the Mandela effect. And you're gonna say, but Rob, what does the Mandela effect have to do with time travel? I'm gonna get there. Hear me out. I'm gonna get there. The Mandela effect is something that we see today that we remember to be different, which means that along the timeline, somebody either interjected or something changed from what we remember. Or the other aspect of what that might be is when the timeline is manipulated, things change for the future. Now, since they're so close, these two timelines, and we remember them so close to coinciding, we get something called bleed through. Now, what that is there may be another one of you on that timeline, right? And if we think about an infinite consciousness, right? Doesn't matter what dimension you're in, it doesn't matter what parallel universe you might be in. What happens is when you raise your vibration, you connect with that parallel you at a later time. Or what's to say that when you pass away, all of your consciousness from all these different dimensions come together one by one as you pass away in each dimension. So I truly believe that these Mandela effect things that are happening are bleed throughs. That's a memory from another parallel universe that's close to this one, or has maybe they start here, right? I'm trying to make it so you guys, I don't know, whatever. They start here, okay? And then they get closer and closer as the timeline goes. And then maybe they'll skew off this way because of one decision, right? But there's points where they come close. And when they're this close, you can access that thought, that bleed through, right? That bleed through moment. So, there's a lot. There's a lot of different things that correlate with that, which is another reason why you want to raise your vibration, and another reason why you want to attend this event that we're putting on to help you get there. Because there's a lot of things you may learn from other selves in other places that you wouldn't be privy to if you're not raising your vibration. It's that important. In most cases, our timeline may or might interconnect. There are places where they will. But let me tell you, if we connect with a universe, they never actually touch. They may go across the same, but they're overlapping. They're never touching or opening to each other. And there's a reason why that is. They feel that there is a catastrophic failure that will happen when this goes down. What that means is that at CERN, they're smashing particles, right? And they say that when they smash these particles at light speed or close to light speed or as fast as they can get, they open windows into other universes. But really what they're doing, this is just my thought, they're creating pocket universes. Because if they opened up if they opened up to each other, the energies might not coincide. They may, but we may be doing gamma radiation out of this one, and that one's doing, dark energy. And when the two meet, both explode into nothing. So they're actually opening pocket universes where they're measuring what's coming out of this pocket universe. Now, here's a kicker too, right? So let's say that there is some kind of universe or extra dimensional universe outside of all the known realities. And that's what they're accessing. Like the nothing. Like there's a place called the nothing. And I got that from Supernatural. Thank you, Supernatural. Where they the nothing. There's literally nothing there. It's dark. It's nothing. That could be maybe purgatory. There's a lot of examples, Example of that is a strange creature surfacing that are not of our dimension. Now, dimensional travel, right? Think about this. Who's the best hide and go seek manager, or who's the best guy at hide and go seek, or the best creature that's the best at hide and go seek? I'll give you a minute to think about it. Bigfoot, cryptids. They are the best hide and go. They're like the hide and go seek champion of 1900 through 2020 since they started being seen. Now, there's a lot of theories about Bigfoot. What if Bigfoot's, what if he's an alien or an extra dimensional being? What if he's got the ability to manipulate the electromagnetic fields to open these parallel? What if he's got a super awesome wristband that lets him travel through dimensions, right? That's why you see him and then he's gone. Then they go back to look for evidence and he's already in the next dimension. So there's a lot of stuff. I'm not sure about that, Ramona. I'm not. I would like to hear your take on it at some point, but I'm not familiar with that. But we can get into that another time for sure. But do you understand what I'm saying, though? There's so many things that are unexplainable, but they're explainable at the same time if you think about it, right? So these are. I went through. Let's see: ufology, paranormal, cryptids, time travel, Mandela effect. What else? Frequency manipulation, Schumann resonance. I mean, this is all one episode. I'm only an hour and 15 minutes in, and the first 5 minutes I spent sharing this out to everybody. But it's pretty crazy to think about. But do you see how they all coincide with each other? Does it not make more sense? Oh, Atlantis. That's right. We did Atlantis too. That's part of what raising your consciousness is thinking outside of the box. When you're able to manipulate your own thoughts or your own reactions or your own stuff, your own brain pattern to do these things that are different or to think of these things that are different, you're more likely to come up with these theories. And here's another thing I want you to remember, right? Who's familiar with Occam's razor? Anybody here familiar with Occam's razor? Do we know what it means? I do. And there's two ways to look at it. Occam's razor means that usually the most obvious the most obvious reason for that consequence is what it is, right? So it's basically keep it simple, stupid. Let's use something recent, right? There's a murder, okay? God forbid, but there's a murder. Now there's the boyfriend, the parents, and the child. Those are the only people who it could have been. From the keep it simple, stupid, who do you think would be the most, inclined person to commit that murder? They're the most obvious person to commit that murder. The boyfriend. Crimes of passion are huge. That's keep it simple, stupid. Occam's razor. So the most liable, I guess, thing to look at would be the simplest example, right? That would be the most obvious, which is probably 8 times out of 10 right? I mean, do we have an agreement on? Are we agreeing on that? So basically, there's a lot of things that we can look at. What I would love for everybody to do for me, please, at this time is if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I please ask you to subscribe to it. We're at 198 subscribers. By the end of tonight, I would love to be above 200, and I would appreciate that. So there's a lot of topics that we could talk about. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is paranormal as well, because this is a paranormal network. So let's look at entities, right? I said I was going to answer a question that I ask everybody all the time. And the question, I'm going to reiterate the question first is, the question I ask my guests all the time is, these entities, why do you think they come here? How do they come here? And what is their purpose for being here? I've gotten a lot of answers. There is no wrong answer to this question. Now, Men in Black show up after certain UFO sightings, usually through an interdimensional portal. Very well could be true, Jason. This is why it's always fun to explore these things, right? But let's get back to the paranormal real quick. So I'll answer that. We'll come back to the Men in Black because I've seen footage of them and it's pretty wild. But so there could be a multitude of reasons why they're here or their purpose for coming back. But let's explore two of them right now. Most of the times, the people that they see are people that have passed away on this plane of in this universe or on this plane of existence. So when they come back is because they're bringing you a message and they feel that you need to know something, or they're working their way to you to show you something. What if they're not actually an entity? Like, let's say that they go to heaven, they come back from heaven, they come to you. What if that's not really the case? What if that particular entity that passed away, or the person that passed away on this universe, went to heaven, and now they're using a shade of one of them from a parallel universe that's still in the living to meditate and communicate with you on this plane because they're that close. And they stayed up in heaven. That's one explanation. One explanation is they never crossed over, which is it's a much more likely scenario because that's what we usually get when we do EVPs and things like that. That was kind of like the out there. The first one was like kind of like an out there. But my thinking on this is that they are either a tormented soul, they died in some horrific way, they have unfinished business. The reason why they come back is to communicate with others, or they just miss it here. And even though their body is no more, we know that everybody has a soul, and their soul is energy. Therefore, your energy can live outside of the confines of the physical body. So when they come back, they're in an ethereal form. And, some of the EVPs that I've gone through have been just wild, and they've said a lot of different things, and I can appreciate their struggle, and I hope to give a lot of these entities more voice in the future. I feel that that's what they're trying to do, and I want to do that for them. One of the things that I truly believe that we should all practice is helping others, whether it be from this side of the veil or that side. Everybody needs a hand sometimes. The more you help others become less selfless, the more access you have to these higher frequencies, to these higher planes of existence, to these higher motives of thinking. You're given this opportunity because you've become that selfless. So you're rewarded. And I truly believe that. And people like Melinda, and this also has to do down the rabbit hole again, right? So this has to do with lifetimes. Everybody goes through preceded lifetimes, right? So if you are a psychic in this lifetime, or you're perceived to see the veil in this lifetime, you've done something great in your last lifetime to give you access to those innate abilities. Everybody has them. It's all about, you know, how do we use them? Can we use them? Do we know how? Are we accessing that information in our brain? There's so much to it. There's so much to it. So I truly believe that we go through lifetimes. I have been to people that were mediums or psychics, and one of the things that they always told me was that, and this is through all of them, that I was one of the first souls to walk on this planet. Now, does that mean I was not? We may have come from other planets. Who knows? Nobody knows our history, which is why it's so fascinating, because we don't know how we got here. There's Darwinism and evolution, and then there's people saying that we came from another planet. Extraterrestrials brought us here. We were the extraterrestrials that came here. There's so many theories. And I was reassured by more than one psychic that, and this is the first time I saw a psychic, I was like 16 years old, that I was one of the first people to walk on this earth as a soul, whether it be in soul form or whether it be in a physical form. So there was times when I was doing a lifetime, staying in what I believe to be heaven or the other side for X amount of years, and then come back. And then, there was times that I was told that there was moments where I was an angel for 50 years and I was helping children cross over. That was my job. I've been told that my lifetimes consist of Celtic farmer, the Salem witch trials. I was an Indian or a Native American at some point. I was the chief's son when they went into detail, and that was through Melinda. She told me a lot of that stuff. But it's when you hear about these different achievements through these lifetimes, you think to yourself, well, if I'm going through all these lifetimes and I'm doing something great before, maybe that's giving me the ability to carry some of that information over to the next one, right? So, maybe those entities that we meet during an investigation are an entity that's supposed to roam this planet as an ethereal being for 50 years before it's supposed to go back and then come back in human form again. That soul is going to go through the process of coming back. But maybe they did something bad, so now their penance is to walk the earth for a certain amount of time. There's so many ways to look at this. There's so many different things. Oh, thank you, Miss. Thank you. I'm going to put this up there for everybody to see. I appreciate that. We're just, we're talking. We're shooting it back and forth and seeing what we come up with. We're theorizing as we speak, which is always a fun time. The round tables are always great. It's always a lot of fun to do this. I truly enjoy it. And, we're probably going to go for another 10, 15 minutes, and then we're going to call it a night tonight because I am getting hoarse a little bit. And I want to be fresh for Monday. We have a great guest, Daryl Martson, coming on The Seer and the Scholar with me and Melinda. And then on a Tuesday, I will be having Penny Bradley. And if you want to see the Daryl Martson episode, that's from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch that on my Facebook page, also on Global Enlightenment Radio Network. But we've talked about a lot tonight. Reincarnation is definitely a thing that I believe occurs, And you could say, well, I was raised Catholic. I still believe in God. I still, use my faith to guide me in certain things. And 9 p.m. Monday, Eastern Standard Time, Ramona. And I truly believe that there is so much out there that we don't know, that when we go through these process to try and put words to these theories in our heads in an intelligent way, it is thinking outside the box or outside the cube. It's whatever you want to call it. We do these things because it's fun to explore, and exploring these things gives us insight. But do you see how we connected all of these different things? Sometimes exploring one facet of a theory will connect a dot with another theory, which in turn gives you an understanding of a whole, how do I put this? A whole different side of what you're looking at, you know? And that's why, you know, if anybody has any theories that they want me to discuss on air or to do some research on and possibly do an episode on, just send me a message at Rob Yox on Facebook or go to Full Spectrum Universe on YouTube. Go to the comments on one of the episodes and write it in the comment what your theory is, and we'll explore it because, you know, it's worth going through. It's worth putting it out there, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. We're going to look at some really fascinating things, and we're going to take places in history where that may have occurred, where it may not have occurred, because this is one of the reasons why I love history so much. When you know history, you know what could possibly happen in the future. Knowing the past is knowing the future. We could definitely, Jason, I do have a show that I might be debuting soon, which is just going to be on the YouTube channel, or I might just keep it on my Patreon. And what it is it's going to be called the Golden Age of Disclosure. And what that means is that we're going to take conspiracy theories, we're going to take history, and we're going to coincide them. We're going to take all these topics, like you said, that's going to be like a series. And if you want an example of what, not basically what it's going to look like, but some of these that I've done before, you know, I've done something on CERN. I did something on Space Force, little educational videos that run some about 9 minutes to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But the Golden Age of Disclosure is probably going to be about, I want to say, a half hour to an hour. We could go through some class, like, you know, talking about these things. And basically what we'll do is we'll bring places or instances to bear where these specific theories might actually happen or coincide with history. Because if we look at it through the lens of history, that gives me like Janet, tune in Tuesday because Penny Bradley is going to be talking about all about the secret space program. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find it on my Facebook page. But basically what we do is when we put all of this to, when we put it to history, we can literally look at the different things that were happening around that time in history and kind of get a feeling for what was really going on, you know, and give us a better understanding of maybe some different ways this theory can be explored. And it's truly beneficial because as you can see, especially with reality today, nothing is as straightforward as it seems. There's always underlying subjects that coincide with what we talk about. And it's truly incredible to really look at all these things and say, you know what they tell you may not be what it is. And 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's not. So, you know, that's a good idea. I like that. You know, I could definitely, and that, you know, when we go to do seminars later, the seminars that I put together, they're going to have that kind of like, or some convention or some online, like, you know, event. I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to try and make it more a learning event, not just people's experiences, which are great. I will bring in experience if I think that it's going to help with learning, which it may, you know. Everybody has an experience that'll teach them to learn a little bit more, something like that. But, you know, I truly feel that it's going to be an educational type of thing because I love to learn. I hope you do too. So, what I would ask you to do is if you guys could share this out to the groups that maybe we haven't shared it out to already, let people know what we're doing here. Also, if you guys, I'm going to be putting up a poster for the event that me and my friend Omar and Leonard are going to be putting together. I hope you guys come through, and I hope we can help you to raise your vibrations and help you to, at least if you don't know how to meditate or want to meditate and don't know what the first steps are, it's going to be an educational course, and it's going to help you get to that point where you can do it on your own and maybe access memories that were hidden to you at one point. But I think we covered a lot tonight. So It's an hour and 35 minutes. I know we usually run 2 hours, but I think we're going to call it a little bit early tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I had a great time. I mean, I just talked the whole time and listened and looked at the comments and tried to answer what I could. But you guys are all amazing. Let everybody know about Full Spectrum Universe. Keep an eye out for the website. The website's going to be incredible. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. And we'll see you back here next week, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on RU Media Network. If you haven't liked RU Media Network on Facebook, or if you haven't subscribed to their YouTube channel, let me tell you something. If you thought this show was good, wait till you see the other shows that they put on. So many great creators, so many great creators, so many good shows. Not to mention, they actually have episodic TV shows that are exclusive to the RU Media Network. If you like paranormal investigations or things like that, they have the resident undead, and they also have Our Haunted Minds, 2 conceptual shows of paranormal investigation. Truly incredible. The camera work is immaculate. The editing is amazing. The stories and the ways that they approach it, absolutely incredible. Do yourself a favor, check it out. Like I said, if you're looking at the comment or the description for tonight's show, I changed it. I decided to go live, even though it was like a comfy kind of, hoodie kind of night. Hair's not done, cup of coffee. I think it was a great night. So with that being said, it's time for you all to get back into your spaceship, hit warp drive, and go back to your own universe, because mine's shutting down. Have a good night, everybody.